Welcome. Thank you so much for attending this 100th anniversary, 100th birthday celebration of Pete Seeger. And it looks like we've assembled a fine crowd of ex-hippies, lefties, fellow travelers, and other people, the likes of which have not been seen since the March on Wall Street. So you're in the right place. And I'm sure you all love Pete Seeger. So I'm Dave Kay, of no particular note, except that I went to Transylvania with Ilene Tompkins Gillispie. Anyway, tonight we have with us Jim Scott and Jose Pianasola, doing with us a variety of songs that we're going to sing along to, and or he's going to lead us in, hopefully, since I've forgotten quite a few, and I'm in the chorus. So anyway, Jim is a musical activist, and he creates and performs music that celebrates the earth. He actually was instrumental in creating the Green Sanctuary program, which our church is proud to have achieved. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for that. And as a member of the Paul Winter Consort, he co-wrote the Missa Gaia, the Earth Mass, which many of you may have heard. A very impressive piece of music that we have sung here. His work appears in our UU hymnal. His compositions include Gather the Spirit. Anybody sung that? Yep, okay. And he compiled and arranged the Earth and Spirit Songbook, which I have a copy of here. This was sort of the inspiration, if you will, the precursor to our turquoise hymnal, and has many of the songs you'll hear tonight and quite a few other ones, as well as proper accompaniment. Jim's going to be in the back with his CDs and these books, and I strongly suggest you check them out at intermission. Where am I? So, also serving with us tonight are all these fine people behind us. This is the FPC choir, serving as chorus. You don't often hear a chorus behind folk singing, but thank you. And one reason that we're here tonight is to help out our former intern minister, Ilene Tompkins Gillispie. She was also, besides being a former intern, she was a former VA chaplain, quite a remarkable young woman in her 20s. She's had connections with our UU partner churches in India and Transylvania since she was young. She planned, organized, and led a group of about 30 of us, including many of the people here, on our trip to see our partner church in Transylvania. So she's quite an accomplished woman. She's a musician and trilingual, I think, Spanish and two languages that I don't ever hope to be able to speak. And she says she was called to ministry in Transylvania County in Brevard, North Carolina. So Transylvania is a theme in her life. She says about her ministry, I wish to speak truth to power, to support those who are hurting, offer a ministry of love and connection to those who feel unloved and disconnected. I wish to be a force for and reminder of love during times that appear bleak. So if the times appear bleak right now, we certainly need Ilene Gillispie. Her message is very consistent with Pete Seeger's in a time when we need some hope. She's unfortunately had to resign her first ministry due to a constellation of very debilitating health issues. And so in response to her medical condition and bills, the Friends of Ilene, which is comprised of former members of her intern committee and some others, have put together this concert tonight to raise some money to help her with her medical expenses. Other ways that you can help, there is a GoFundMe site, and I believe somewhere there's a piece of paper that tells you what that site is. It's in the back. All right. Our other Ilene says it's in the back. There are also baskets for donations around the hall and back where we're serving refreshments. Important to a bunch of old hippies, if there are any of those here besides me, the bathrooms are around the corner to your right. And also, if you go far out and go all the way down a long corridor and hang another right, if you're not in an urgent need, there's 2 more bathrooms. There are more bathrooms, but that's a secret that I'll sell to you. So we're going to have 2 45-minute segments tonight, a 20-minute intermission in which you are encouraged to buy some desserts, water, coffee, all of which will contribute to the fund for Ilene. And that will be all the way down the hall in the vestry to purchase that at our intermission. So, without any further ado, I wish to give you Jim Scott and Jose Pianasola. Jim?
The Committee for Protruding Backsides will convene. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. We love Ilene, and we want to contribute to her recuperation and fighting off this stuff, peacefully fighting. Now, in truth, this might be a little longer than 45 minutes, and I'll bet the intermission will be a half hour, but we're not going to let it go longer than that. So, pace yourself. Well, I try to make sure to say that I'm just literally one of thousands of musicians that knew Pete Seeger. We collaborated a number of times. I met Pete Seeger in maybe it was 1978 with the Paul Winter Consort, and it was only a few weeks later that I got to play with him again in another place, and then lo and behold, here was another place after that, and at rallies, at some concerts, some folk festivals, other kinds of things like that, and particularly I think we bonded on the Great Peace March in 1986. More about a fateful concert that happened there a little later. Well, we put together a whole array of songs. Now, don't let this choir intimidate you. You just sing along as you normally would, right? Here's a song. I'll take care of most of this song, but just to get us going, what some people might be old enough to remember is Pete and the Weavers had #1 hit songs back in late 40s, early 50s, only to run into our House Un-American Activities Committee and our Senator Joseph McCarthy, who has an era named after him. If any of that stuff sounds familiar these days, I think we need to be militant and aware. So the Weavers were blacklisted, put an end to their greater career. They came back a few years later, but Pete went on to play just here and there and every different place, a lot of camps, colleges brave enough to hire that commie, you know. Now, there was nothing legal about this. It was just a big scare tactic. But a lot of lives of many patriotic, artistic Americans were destroyed in that all. And Pete's one who survived and thrived from that, wrote beautiful songs. Most of the songs we know were turned into big hit songs by other people. But certainly the music community knew Pete Seeger, and when he would do things, his example and his leadership brought along a lot of other people with him. So younger people know that Pete Seeger had this boat. A lot of musicians would join Pete on the Clearwater sloop that still sails up and down the Hudson River, acquainting people with rivers, the water cycle, why we need it, why it would be better if the great rivers of America were not toxic sewers as they were when Pete started his work. And after half a century, many of the great rivers of America are cleared up to some extent. Pete lived long enough to see the Hudson River be swimmable again. A lot of musicians joined Pete on the boat and wrote songs. Pete wrote this song to the tune of an old Christmas carol. A lot of people say they don't recognize the Christmas carol at this tempo. But we hope Michael Praetorius is amused and not rolling over in his grave. Of time and rivers flowing, the seasons make a song. And we who live beside her still try to sing along. Of rivers, fish, and men, and women, and the season still a-coming, when she'll run clear again. So many homeless sailors, so many winds that blow. I asked the half-blind scholars which way the currents flow. So cast your nets below. And the gods of moving waters will tell us all they know. The circles of the planets, the circles of the moon, the circles of the atoms all play a marching tune. And we who would join in can stand aside no longer. Now let us all begin. La 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 la. The words are easy. La 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 la. International language. La 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 la. La 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 la. You can stop whispering and rolling your eyes to each other. And we who would join in, and we who would join in, can stand aside no longer, can stand aside no longer. Now let us all begin. Now let us all begin. Thank you. This is a little more organized than usually when I do it by myself. We got a list of songs, you see. The trouble with a list is you go down the list and then it's over. One of Pete's favorite songs, written by one of his kind of right-hand guys, Laurie Wyatt, is this song that was written on the sloop. Somos el barco, somos el mar, navego en ti, navegas en mí. What did he say? We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. We are the boat, we are the sea. Navego en ti, navegas in me. We can do it. Somos el barco, somos el mar, navego en ti, navego en ti, navegas en mí, navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar, navego en ti, navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Oh, what's another verse of this song? And with our hopes, we set the sails to face the winds once more. And with our hearts, we chart the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar, navegas en ti, navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. I sail in you, you sail in me. So I played with Pete here and there over years. I think probably some years went by where I didn't see him at all. I wouldn't claim to be on some inner circle, but I feel really honored. I got to go to his house a number of times and do one project or another. And Pete was a big help on the book that I put together called the Earth and Spirit Songbook. It's 110 songs of earth and peace, and as we said, I helped develop the Green Sanctuary program. I was one of the 6 lunatic fringe around a table saying, we ought to have a program in the UU denomination, an ecological awareness and activism program. So it was called the Seventh Principle Project at first, which took a lot of explanation for people. What? The 7 generations? What? The 7, deadly sins? Or what? The Seventh Principle Project dreamed up that we should have a program, and Reverend Bob Murphy had made a book considerably earlier, I think 1989 or 1990, made a little folded book that was called the Green Sanctuary Handbook. And this is before internet and all the mobile devices and all the kinds of resources we have now. So that book was, pretty quickly outdated in a way. But in the later 90s, we decided we needed a program. We should invent some kind of a program of study, of action, to look at our building, our grounds, the things we buy and throw away, transportation, energy use, all of those kinds of things, even down to what we do with our endowment, and to be more sustainable as an institution. That's what it's about. It's not religion, but I see a spiritual side to it all. So we created this handbook, and I wrote several of the chapters in the first book. But then I said, I got to get back to music, and I applied for a grant. I got a grant from the Fund for Unitarian Universalism to make a book of songs. I thought the next thing we need to celebrate the earth is worship and RE materials. We need songs. So it had been an idea I'd had a long time. I've written quite a lot of earth songs, as a matter of fact. It's kind of my thing. But as I would play somewhere and cross paths with another musician and realize there's a lot of people who are not just writing about drug, sex, and self-destruction and getting on the top 40. You know, there are people who actually write about really good things and saving the earth and so on. And I thought, we need to collect that. Somebody needs to collect that stuff. And being a musically literate guy, I thought, well, and I guess it's me. And I collected the songs. And the first book, we didn't have as much benefit of Google and internet as we do now. I was transcribing things off of people's CDs or, cassettes and so on. And so we came up with this book, the Earth and Spirit Songbook. And Pete was a great help with the book. He said, "Oh, do you know such and such? And do you know so?" And then there's a song, and on the sloop there was this guy. He sang this song. You should get him. Put that song. And so there are several of Pete's songs in the book too, of course. And I will just share with you my congregation of the evening. And, I say congregation loosely. If you're not even sure what the two U's stand for, I'm sure we have a pamphlet back here for you. You see, there was this merger that made a big tongue twister, Unitarian Universalist. And I'm old enough to be one U. I started at the Universalist Church of Norwell, Massachusetts, Assiniboine. So I've seen this go for a while, and I'm invested in this. And I find that you are my greatest collaborators in this revolution that we need to bring about. That we live in a world that doesn't exist yet, that we believe in, and that's what we're going to make. So I thank you. Oh, so I wanted to say, I got another grant to make a sequel book. So if you have a good Earth song, I want to know about it. So in the last couple years of Pete's life, I was honored blessed to have gotten to play with him a number of times and get to ask him questions I wish I'd asked a lot sooner and get to know a lot more about him. And he was staying pretty much close to home in the last couple years of his life, where Toshi, his wife, was getting weaker, and he really doted on her, and he didn't want to travel. And he said, "I'm done charging for concerts. If I feel like going somewhere and playing, I'll do it. But otherwise, don't bother me." And so the people trying to make money off Pete Seeger stopped bothering him, I think. But he had a letter that, you see, he didn't do email. And if you called him on the phone, you'd either get him or you wouldn't. There was a cassette answering device I discovered at his house, but nobody ever listened to it. So occasionally Tina, their daughter, would go through it and say, "Dad, somebody was, So, and if you showed up, you'd probably get fed. So, that's the way he was. So, so he had said nice things to me about music, my music, saying, "Oh, Jim, now if you're ever near Beacon, New York, playing near Beacon, New York, you must let us know." And I couldn't get that in my brain, Some guy comes to play in Beacon, New York, and Pete Seeger shows up in the audience. I didn't compute him. It turns out that was not that unusual. He was just a regular member of the community there, and very approachable and very, conversational. And Toshi was the business head who took care of everything, and so that he could be that approachable, folksy guy. She would order him to do it. "I'll take care of that, Peter. You go talk to the people." And that's the way it went. So I was going to play at the Rock Tavern UU Church in Newburgh, New York, right across the Interstate 84 bridge from Beacon, New York. And I said, "Could I possibly coerce you to come over?" And he said, "Oh, I'm awful busy." Pardon me if I start to imitate the way he talked. "I'm awful busy. Let me see if I can make it." So I didn't know if he'd make it at all. But he did. He showed up with the banjo and the guitar, and we got over in the corner and we said, well, he could play this and we could play that. And about 50 people wander into church that morning. This little church that had burned down, and they built a new church already too small for the congregation. And the people wander in and they're going, and they're, "Pete Seeger's here, Pete Seeger's here." The whole place is lighting up. "Pete Seeger's here." Somebody in the kitchen says, "Pete Seeger, how did we afford him?" And so I got up and did the requisite beginning of the service, and opening things and opening hymn and all that. And then I thought I'd just get him up and ask a question, and that would be good for a song, which it was. And the service went a little short of 2 hours, and nobody left. But he brought this piece of paper. This is a copy. But he said you could have a copy. And he said, "Now this is a good song. Toshi got tired of me singing those words from the Bible to that song. He said we need some funny words to that song. Some words for kids." I'll bet you know the chorus. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. So that's from Ecclesiastes, from the Bible. But these are Toshi's words. A time for work, a time for play, a time for night, a time for day, a time to sleep, a time to wake, a time for candles on the cake. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to dress, a time to eat, a time to sit and rest your feet, a time to teach, a time to learn, a time for all to take their turn. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to cry and make a fuss, a time to leave and catch the bus, a time for quiet, a time for talk, a time to run, a time to walk. Single file to everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time for dirt, a time for soap, a time for tears, a time for hope, a time for fall, a time for spring, a time to hear the robins sing. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. If I slip a few of my own songs in this concert, I like to say, well, Pete liked this song, so that's my excuse. Well, I didn't really write this song. I fell into this song when I first joined the Paul Winter Consort. This melody by Ivan Lins, a great Brazilian composer. We took that melody and he let us put new English words to it. And I got to sing it. There's a chorus in 2 languages like this. In a circle of friends. This means friends when you hook your fingers together. In a circle, this means circle of sound. Try that much. In a circle of friends. In a circle of sound. All our voices will blend when we touch common ground. Voices are calling round the earth. Music is rising in the sea. The spirit of morning fills the air, guiding my journey home. Where is the path beyond the forest? Where is the song I always knew? I remember it just around the bend. In the village, the music never ends. In a circle of friends, in a circle of sound, all our voices will blend when we touch common ground. Somewhere is the melody we need. There is a certain harmony, even a rhythm in the trees, in the song that we've always known. As every road comes to its end, so every path must cross again. Now I'm returning to my heart, back to the song that is our own. In a circle of friends, in a circle of sound, all our voices will blend when we touch common ground. Voices are calling round the earth. Music is rising in the sea. The spirit of morning fills the air, guiding my journey home. Here is the path beyond the forest. Here is the song I always knew. I remember it just around the bend. In the music, the village never ends. In a circle of friends, in a circle of sound, all our voices will blend a circle of sound, all our voices will blend when we touch common ground. So in 1964, Pete writes this prophetic song. Now, we didn't let Pete on TV until 1968, when the Smothers Brothers threatened to quit. They were one of the most popular shows on TV at that time, unless the networks would let Pete Seeger on TV. And they got him on TV. And in fact, they was on TV, but then he was going to sing this anti-war song, which is not really about Vietnam, but he was going to sing this anti-war song, and they said, no, he can't sing the song. So he came on, and he sang something else, and then the Smothers Brothers again said, we're quitting unless you bring him back, and he's going to sing that song. Waist Deep in the Big Muddy is the song, and which we will not do for you tonight. I'm sorry to bring it up and not sing it to you, but so Pete made it back to the media at that point. That blacklisting, you know, I was pretty young, but through the 50s, I think most of us sort of forgot about that horrific era at the time of well-funded. The makers of war machinery do this well-funded thing after every war. You know, remember to keep buying guns and buy, bombs and ships and tanks and everything like that. And so they needed a new enemy, and that was communism. And I knew we hid under our desks, and I knew the word communism. I had no idea what it was. Maybe some other people did. Does it grow on your skin or something? What is it? It's like this thing to be afraid of, for sure. It took me a long time to realize they were talking about sharing. But and that's the beauty of children's songs. You know, you can sing about kids' songs. Maybe we switch things around. I want to do the rainforest song. Children's songs are sneaky. You can sing about all kinds of things in a kid's song and not scare anybody. Sing about sharing and nobody calls you a communist like that, So I wrote this song with a bunch of kids. And I'll say, Pete would ask me to sing this song all the time. He says, just what we need. Short verse, teaches you something, gets right back to the chorus again. That's what we need. Be better if there were 2 languages in it, but these kids at Whittier Elementary School told me all about the rainforest. They knew all about it. And living in Eugene, Oregon, as I did then, I got to tell them I kind of lived in the rainforest. We know how it works. They told me but they were studying the tropical rainforest. So they told me about the animals in the rainforest. There's a lot of animals in the song. And they told me about the 4 levels of the rainforest, which was news to me. The 4 levels. It's in a book. It's the way we do things, I guess. Take them apart. I like to say I think we were thrown out of the Garden of Eden for dividing it into separate fields of study, but that's another sermon. On the ground level, turtles and leopards and snakes live in the shelter the understory makes. The ground is so soft and the air is so clear, with 300 inches of rain every year. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Now does that sound like a participatory refrain to you? Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. And down in the ground, the worms and the ants nurture the roots of the flowering plants. And up in the canopy, life is a breeze. Orangutans swing from the limbs of the trees. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Now while some of us sing that part, we need some others of us to sing another part that goes, rain come down, rain come down. If you got a higher voice, rain come down, la la la, rain come down. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. And the third verse is high up above, where the toucans fly. They're birds. Emergent treetops reach into the sky. There's more kinds of plants than anyone knows. Look out, there's a sloth hanging by her 3 toes. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Now about this point, I like to put in the pop quiz. What were those 4 levels? I don't see any 3rd graders out here right in front of me. So I'll tell you. Well, there's the ground level, that's a good level. The forest floor, we call it. And everything that likes to grow in the shade of the canopy is called the understory. And then the tallest, biggest old trees stick up sometimes way above the canopy, called the emergent level. Whole different habitat. That's the 4 levels. This is my musical memory device. There's the understory, the understory. If you got a low voice, be the understory, understory. And the ground level, you can be the ground level, the understory, or the ground level, the ground level, canopy, ground level, canopy. Find your level, canopy, the under, the canopy, the emergent, emergent. Oh, there's the ground, emergent, and the emergent. Oh, there's the ground level, canopy, the understory, and the emergent, emergent. Oh, there's the ground level and the under. The chorus. Oh, let the rain come down, feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Rain come down, rain come down, rain come down, rain come down. I interrupted myself before, and I realized I just lost track of, it's written awfully small right here. See? So in 1964, Pete wrote this prophetic song. And this would have been a good pickup song. I thought we needed a pickup song. That's why I just switched the order and put that in. But I forgot to do this song, so here it is. So 1964, the Beatles arrive in America, in 1964. Bob Dylan and folks are on the scene, and of course lots of rock music and everything. But so is Pete's friend Harry Belafonte, and Calypso, Caribbean, Latin music is also on the top 40 and stuff. And somewhere in that milieu, Pete writes this song. You know, this language that we speak is part German, part Latin, and part Greek, with some Celtic and Arabic and Scandinavian all in a heap. Well amended by the people in the street. Choctaw gave us the word okay. Vamoose is a word from Mexico way. And all of this is a hint, I suspect, of what comes next. I think that this whole world, soon, mama, my whole wide world, soon, mama, my whole world, soon, mama, behold. There were no red-headed Irishmen before the Vikings landed in Ireland. How many Romans had dark curly hair before they brought slaves from Africa? No race on earth is completely pure, nor is anyone's mind, and that's for sure. The winds mix the dust of every land, and so will woman and men. I think that this whole world, soon, mama, my whole wide world, soon, mama, my whole world, soon, mama, get mixed up. A little trick that, songwriting trick that I'll admit I haven't used all that much myself, is if you want people to sing the chorus with you, make 3 out of 4 lines the same words. I think that this whole world, soon, mama, my whole wide world, soon, mama, my whole world, soon, mama, get mixed up. I like pizza pie. What? Pizza pie is also nice. Corn and beans from the Indians here, all washed down by some German beer. Marco Polo traveled by camel and pony, brought to Italy the first macaroni. And you and I, as well as we're able, put it all on the table. I think that this whole world, soon, mama, my whole wide world, soon, mama, my whole world, soon, mama, get mixed up. Oh, this doesn't mean we will be the same. We'll have different faces and different names. Long live many kinds of different races, and difference of opinion that makes horse races. Just remember the rule about rules, brother. What's right with one is wrong with another. And take a tip from La Belle France, vive la différence. I think that this whole world, soon, mama, my whole wide world, soon, mama, my whole world, soon, mama, get mixed up. I think that this whole world, soon, mama, my whole wide world, soon, mama, my whole world, soon, mama, get mixed up. So Pete picked up on this song. A Turkish poet writes just a heart-wrenching poem about a young girl who is killed when the atomic bomb is dropped on Japan. The poem in Turkish gets to an American woman, Jeanette Turner, translates it to English, and eventually gives it to Pete Seeger, who turns it into rhyming, scanning poetry. And he set it to what he thought was an old English folk song, Pete said. Well, it sounds like one, but he discovered it was actually written, the melody was written by a guy when he was a student at Dartmouth. So the guy was set, and I'm sorry, I dropped his name, but he set words, I think they're Robert Burns' words of the silkies, the seals are so human-like that when the moon is right, they come to land and they pass for humans, and they get in trouble and they fall in love, and but then they have to go back. So it sounds like this. I'll just a little bit. I am a man upon the land. I am a seal upon the sea. It's a beautiful song like that too, but it takes on a whole different persona with these words. I get a little fogged up when I sing these words. I come and stand at every door, but none can hear my silent tread. I knock and yet remain unseen, for I am dead, for I am dead. I'm only 7, though I died in Hiroshima long ago. I'm 7 now, as I was then. When children die, they do not grow. My hair was scorched by swirling flames. My eyes grew dim, my eyes grew blind. Death came and turned my bones to dust, and that was scattered by the wind. I need no fruit, I need no rice, I need no sweets or even bread. I ask for nothing for myself, for I am dead, for I am dead. All that I ask is that for peace you fight today, you fight today, so that the children of this earth may live and love and laugh and play. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls pick them, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the old-fashioned way, gone to husbands, everyone? When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? long time ago. Where have all the young men gone? Gone for soldiers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? In the book, quiet flows the Don River. Andrei Sokolov tells, whether it was a real song or not, we're not sure. He says the soldiers are walking down the road, heading off to their war, and they're singing this song. Where are the flowers gone? Young girls pick them. Where have the young girls gone? Young men pick them, and young men gone for soldiers. That was the whole poem. Well, Pete took that. He said he was riding on an airplane reading it, and he just came up with the song immediately. But he made the song just with those 3 verses. He said, I thought that was subtle, and so he was singing it as an anti-war song. So as I said, the Weavers broke up and went their separate ways. Pete played in camps, and I've met so many people that said, I was 9 years old, I was 13 years old, and Pete came and played at my camp, or I was a sophomore in college and Pete came and played at the student union, and then or played a concert, and then afterwards he went over to the student union and hung out for another 3 or 4 hours and played with anybody who would come along. He did that just tirelessly all the time. And what he accomplished in that decade or so was he raised up a whole generation of folk musicians. So Pete was playing at that bastion of terrorism, Oberlin College, and a young man in the Oberlin Folk Club, Joe Hickerson, wrote the next 2 verses to this song. And Pete said, I didn't know what to make of it at first. I tried it with 5, but went back to 3, was still experimenting. But then, as usual, it wasn't Pete himself, but Pete's protégés, the Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary particularly, and the Limelighters and so on. Pretty soon, 100 different groups have recorded this song in so many different languages all over the world. Perhaps one of the best known anti-war sentiments in song there is. Pete said his favorite was Marlene Dietrich's version in German. But of course they all did it with the 5 verses that we all know that bring it around full circle. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing, where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago, where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? I'll bet somebody knows this. If If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Pete and Lee Hayes wrote this song in 1947. It was the first page of their stapled together, mimeographed song sheet that they began to put out, which eventually turned into Sing Out magazine. Originally it went like this: love between all of my brothers, all over this land. So that soaring melody at the end is kind of lost to history, because Pete said for years, oh, the Peter, Paul, and Mary version of this song has become the quintessential version of this song. He said, I like it, but I could do without that. Ooh, oh, go ahead, it's fun. Ooh. A bell, if I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. A song, if I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Now we put them all together. Now I got a hammer, got a bell, and I got a bell, got a song to sing, I got a song to sing all over this land. Hammer of justice, it's the hammer of justice. Bell of freedom, it's the bell of freedom. Song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Sing that again. It's the hammer of justice. Here's the big one. It's the bell of freedom. It's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Well, we're gonna take a little break and stand up and talk to each other. And we'd just like to say the restrooms are within reach out there. And we have refreshments to ply you with, and those donations will help with the fundraising. I'd like to say, too, Jim has his CD and songbook boutique back here for your perusal. And the nice part of that is it allows me to take a little of you home with me, which is nice. And I'd like to say we're going to donate a percentage to Ilene from sales of things, too. So we're going to try to make this succinct, but I know how we are. So we're going to say it's going to be a half an hour, but we're going to be back in half an hour. Simonize watches and synthesize watches, and we'll be back. I think we have some important information.
We don't.
We have no important information.
The most important information is the refreshments are out that way, way down the hall, and in the room that we happily call the vestry. And we've got coffee and tea and lots of desserts. Please take your half an hour, or as the originators of this program decided, 20 minutes, whatever suits you. But by all means, take some time to visit Jim's Boutique in the back. Thank you.
By 20 minutes, you should be just getting a little pang of conscience and...
Yeah. And a little buzz from the caffeine. Could we give Jim another hand, please?
One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping at our shores, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Some folks want to be like an ostrich, bury their heads in the sand. Some hope that plastic dreams can unclench all those greedy hands. Some hope to take the easy way, poisons, bombs, they think we need them. Don't you know you can't kill all the unbelievers? There's no shortcut to freedom. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping at our shores, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try. I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Let's do that again. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping at our shores, one earth so green and brown. Who could ask for more? Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try. I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Go tell all the little children. Tell all the mothers and fathers too. Now's our last chance to learn to share what's been given to me and you. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping at our shores, one earth so green and brown. Who could ask for more? Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try. I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays, to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping at our shores, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? Who could ask for more? Who could ask for more? One more. Who could ask for more? What does it say here? Oh, yeah. Visions. I gotta find my piece of paper. We got these unobtrusive pieces of paper guiding us. At a rally in New York, this is something I imagine you might not have heard of Pete's. He just turned out songs all the time, and he said some of them it was just as well if we left them behind. They were just sort of for the process or for the time being. But at a big rally in New York, he said that he put out a call. He said, "What are there women out here who can?" Because he thought it would be treble voices would be good. Are there women who can read music? And he knew more about music than he let on. So he concocted this little thing, borrowing from Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, and there's two lines. You'll see. I'd like to call it "We'll Work Together," reluctantly, or something. But he called it, because it comes up later in the song, "Visions of Children." You'll recognize a little slow movement of Beethoven's Seventh here. Oh, see, he lost his list again. Intermission? No. Well, I say, a song of mine. Well, this was a real favorite of Pete's, that he liked the song of mine. Well, I wish he'd lived long enough to hear this song. I know you all noticed that election that happened a couple of years ago. That's all we'll say about that. We've lived through bad leadership before. We will do it again. But the year before that, there was a big march in a parade, a walk, gathering of nearly 500,000 people in New York City and in cities all over the country and all over the world, as the United Nations was going to vote on climate change action. We were so optimistic at that point. And even, big wigs of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, and people out marched with the marchers that day, which happens to be Peace Day, the 26th of September. So I thought, I have to go to this. And it was a Sunday, and I thought, well, I'll just see if some Unitarian Universalist church somewhere near New York, I could get a gig there and then go to the march. It may be a little late. Well, so the churches in New Jersey and the churches in New York, they weren't having services that day. They said, go to the march. So I went, I thought, I have to write a song. And there are friends of mine that do this more readily than I do. I don't like writing songs that are immediately going to get old, like it's something just about what's happening right now, a parody of something. And they're useful songs, but then there's writers that do that, and they're very witty and they're wonderful. I don't usually do that, but I was thinking of how I'd seen folks like Pat Humphries and others, even Pete, write something, just dash something off for the occasion. So, okay, I'm going to write a song. So I had it folded in a piece of paper in my pocket, and went to the march, and I went to the People of Faith block, which was 58th Street. Every block from about 40th to 80th, between 8th and 9th, had a personality that you could go there, the Sierra Club block, or the college this and that block, other things like that. So they said to the people who do this stuff, sending out emails saying, let's go to, show up at the People of Faith block. So we go there, and there are people with an ark on wheels, and these handsome young men in suits with their Bibles. The Mormon young folks are there, and others. But then there's people dressed like trees. Oh no, we're with them, and I was guessing, are there, as the block just filled up with people, the Starbucks sold out, and I was guessing with a friend, it looks like, 1,000, there's like 15,000 people or something in this one block right here. And then here comes a guy with his golf cart. About like 10 o'clock, he's come home from golf, and he's all mad that he can't get something at Starbucks before he goes back to his apartment. So that's the way peace efforts, they affect so many more people than we think. The whole city of New York had to notice that 500,000 people get out and march down the street. So we pour out of there. So they were singing. And of course, we're the People of Faith block. So it was religious singing that was going on. And I thought maybe I could do my song. No, this is a wonderful guy with a big operatic voice. And we're singing, I love Jesus and God. And it was Jesus and God. I was waiting for some reference to the earth, but there wasn't one but that I could hear. And but it was, singing is wonderful anyway. It just got us going. And then we poured out onto the 8th Avenue and up to 59th and across Cleveland Circle, across the bottom of Central Park and down Avenue of the Americas, past Radio City, and there's banners hanging out windows, and just an amazing thing. I've never been in one of those great big parades in New York like that. And the huge banner, that 20 feet across that two people carry, or several people carry, the Unitarian Universalist American one and the Unitarian Canadian one, and they're going along. And then behind that, the yellow-shirted standing on the side of love UUs, where the sea of yellow that was really amazing. I think we were the best represented denomination there among the People of Faith. And so walking backwards, I yelled at people, hey, everybody help me sing this song. So, and I've used this song a lot since, but that was the world premiere there. And I'm yelling, help me sing this song. So, and it's a song we'll accompany it now, but you can use this song. Just, you can sing it a cappella on the street next time we're out there. And in case you don't know, about a week from Friday, we're striking for the climate. If you haven't heard, it's happening. And I'm so impressed with this group that I've found all over the country, blossoming, just exploding, is to use a more violent term. The Sunrise Movement, young people, teenagers to college to young adults, are just saying, you old people, you are in charge and you've messed this place up. And we cannot wait for you any longer. And you're going to have to deal with us. It's really quite exciting, I think. let us not be quite scared of them yet, but and I think we can bank on it's a totally non-violent anything. So we'll see what happens when the forces grow strong, though, not to discourage anyone. Things happen. Repercussions. So I digressed. I was going to say something about it. Oh yeah. So I take care of a couple of lines, and then you'll see how you come in. It's not quite call and response, and it's not quite a zipper song. If I had hammer, a song, a bell. But you'll see how you fit it. We are the earth, and we speak for creation. We cannot stand by and watch its devastation, and we will not be bought. Try that. And we will not be bought. We will not be deceived. Try that. We will not be deceived. We are one. We are strong. We are the earth. Sing it again. We are one. We are strong. We are the earth. We are the earth of forest, soil, and ocean. We will stand in our defense and devotion. We will not be bought, and we will not be bought, not be deceived. We will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, and we shall speak as one. Will not surrender great glaciers to the sun. We will not be bought, and we will not be deceived. We will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, wounded but unbroken. We will rise when to power truth is spoken. We will not be bought, and we will not be bought, not be deceived. We will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. Sing it again. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, diverse and yet united. We will keep on until the wrongs are righted. We will not be bought, and we will not be bought, not be deceived. We will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are more than just dwellers on this earth. We are the earth. Pete had a hand in this song. It's a little bit of a controversy because Pete would make no claim of having written this song, but this song that transformed the 20th century more than just about anything else, I think. A song that has a long history. It evolved out of gospel songs. And one song, back from the turn of the last century, old gospel song goes, if I remember it all, the world is one great battlefield with forces all arrayed. And da 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 da, I'll overcome someday. I'll overcome someday. I'll overcome someday. If in my heart I do believe, I'll overcome someday. So I think you see where I'm going here. This phrase, to overcome, is in so much theology of liberation. Yes, the world is a den of iniquity, and the very law of the land denies you your humanity, but we can overcome this. And this doesn't necessarily mean I'll overcome, like over yonder, after a while, over Jordan, the promised land. It doesn't mean I'm going to die. It means you won't see me tomorrow. I'm going over Jordan. It means I'll be in Oberlin next week. I'll be going to Canada. So to live in this world that doesn't exist yet, to have faith that there is a place that we're going to make this peace on earth. My universalist background, I remember my dad saying as we left this tall, narrow church at the corner in Norwell, Massachusetts, and he said, "We Universalists don't believe." I guess it had come up in a song. He said, "We Universalists don't believe that a loving God would sentence us to an eternity of hell and damnation and all." That was a liberating thing to find out when I was 6 or 7 years old. I had a teacher in 3rd grade praying for me over that because I had to speak out in course. She said, "Exactly, because you don't believe it. That's why you're going there." And poor boy. So anyway, that's the gift we give to our young people, to question this bombardment of stuff that comes in our common culture. It's in movies and it's even in public schools somewhere. That and I grant the people good hearts to some extent. That, except when they say that apparently we used to be a Christian country and we should get back to that and we should throw out all the others, something like that. I gotta just check. Global warming. I have perfect pitch, you see. It's right there. D. How did we live without that thing? I don't know. That sounds better. So here's another song that certainly would have been where this song evolved. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I'll be all right someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe I'll be all right someday. So the next verse would be, I'll be like him, capital H, and I'll go to heaven so maybe down the line in a zipper song like that could be, I'll overcome would be one of the things. How do da 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 became da 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 twice da 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 da. We don't know. Nobody wrote that down back there in maybe the 1920s or 30s as songs, were being sung all around. And there's people who have a scrap of paper, someone in Cincinnati says, "Oh no, it was my great aunt that wrote this song," or, something like that. But we can see how it evolved. Zilphia Horton, folk collector, Miles and Zilphia Horton. Zilphia Horton saw a strike of women, African-American women, striking at a cigarette factory in North Carolina in 1946. And she hears the song, evolved in this, wow, I haven't heard that before, and it's slowed down because when you're spread out down the sidewalk, down the street, you don't sing rapid fire songs, you sing slowly, and you probably sit or kneel, so you will not be threatening to the police and so on. And so the song becomes this slow thing. She brought the song to I'm sure we didn't have recording devices, but she might have even written it down, or she just brought it to the Highlander Center, this little place outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, to Pete Seeger and Guy Carawan and a young activist from Albany, Georgia, Bernice Johnson, who was Bernice Johnson Reagan later, that we might know from Sweet Honey and the Rock, women's African-American harmony group. Now, all of those folks, even as they got famous, they had day jobs. Bernice was the curator of the African-American Smithsonian African-American History Museum. So she knows what she's talking about. And this little place, the Highlander Center, was where everybody went to get training in, I don't know if they were even saying nonviolence and civil disobedience or something. They were, in community organizing and so on. So activists, Rosa Parks went to the Highlander Center. Bayard Rustin, the organizer of great peace marches, and went there. The young Dr. Martin Luther King goes, when he gets his degree from Boston University, goes to the Highlander Center. And Pete says, he said, I'm not sure, but legend has it that Dr. King heard the song and said, now that sounds like the anthem of our whole movement right there. And he started to use it. And Bayard Rustin, who was a great singer, he carried it around. And others, in 1963, the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King sings, speaks his I Have a Dream speech. It's Bayard Rustin who organized the whole thing, who reads the demands. You got to hear that part of the recording sometime, how people roared at, the demands that were. And Bayard Rustin was gay. He was busted as gay in the 40s. And he was part of a nonviolent resistance group. I'm losing the name of it now. And in order to save the good name of that, he just backed off from the Fellowship of Reconciliation. But he became the organizer behind all this stuff. So all these wheels are turning. Rosa Parks goes back, and a young teenager who got pregnant and had run-ins with the law refused to give up her seat on a bus. And that kind of went without a whole lot of incident. She got arrested. But then they said, we need somebody with impeccable credentials, and that was Rosa Parks, to be the mythological person who's going to do this and become the face of standing up against the racist bus stuff, and on and on. So Bernice Johnson comes from Albany, Georgia. Black people come from one town, white people come from Natchez. The next week, black people from Atlanta and white people from Charleston, because you could get her killed riding in the same car up to, through whatever, Alabama or Mississippi or something, up to this place. This little place, they met in a circle, they sat in rocking chairs, and they got this training. And they sang songs. So this song was one of those songs that just got sung by everybody. And so then they'd go home and they'd know each other by the songs. This movement was just threaded through and through with song like no movement we've really had since. And when people say, well, where's the songs of the environmental movement? Or where's the song? Well, you got to consider 100 years of Jim Crow and 100 years of religious, churches being the one safe place there is, and church songs become movement songs. So I think you all know where we're going. With this triplet rhythm that Bernice made sure to say, this is African triplet thing that becomes swing and becomes the roots of jazz and so on. Pete said, so the song was I Will Overcome. Pete said, I thought shall sounded better than will. He says, that's my one word in that song. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I know that I do believe we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. So Pete and Guy Carawan carried this song around. Guy and Candy Carawan wrote a couple of wonderful books, one called Carry On, of songs of the movement. We lost Guy Carawan just last year. He was the resident musician there for half a century. So Pete said to Bernice, to Guy, to the Hortons, he said, we better copyright this song because somebody will make a movie, somebody will make a documentary even, and then somebody in Hollywood will own the copyrights to this song. That's the way this happens sometimes. Pete spoke of it as cultural copyrights, that we should, when we take a folk song from some place, from Africa, we should remember where it came from and maybe pay back to those places. So they copyrighted the song with no pretense that they wrote it, but that the rights, if you make a recording or you put it in a movie, you're gonna support the Highlander Center, which still goes on, and they'd love to see you. Well, then for years, this song just spreads all over the world. I happened to go by a television, and maybe it was 68 or 69. Here's students in Italy singing We Shall Overcome. This song was sung in Tiananmen Square. This song was sung, I went on this Soviet-American peace walk in 1988. Here's a bunch of young women from a college in the Ukraine singing We Shall Overcome. This song was sung when Nelson Mandela was released from prison with the great wealth of South African freedom songs. This song is everywhere. This song is probably being sung on the front lines of some life and death struggle tonight. Now, if Bernice were here, she'd say, this is the way you need to do it. So you gotta humor me. We gotta stand up. Come on, we can stand up. And you take each other's hands, but not the kind of Unitarian way, kind of at arm's length, but you gotta go right hand over left. That means you gotta come across the aisle. You gotta move, not right where you are. Yeah, that's it. If you cannot stand up, don't, stay where you are, but that's how we do it. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I know that I do believe we shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Yes, now you'd think that might be the end, but it is not. We got several songs we want to sing for you all. I'm gonna skip a little time, which I'm gonna sing by myself. Minuit, Somerset, minuit, minuit, Somerset, ah, minuit. We're just going a little bit slow here. Let's go a little faster. Boom, boom, boom. This West African village song was a song we sang all the time with the Paul Winter Consort. and I knew Pete Seeger knew it too. We talked about that the group Les Ballets Africains came to America in the 50s. Kieda Fodeba had been a student in America and singing songs of West Africa. He went back to Africa and formed this big group that then toured the world. So both Pete Seeger and Paul Winters spoke of seeing this performance and being really moved. These kind of songs have an ostinato here. This same bass and two-line thing just keeps going over and over, and we pile melodies on top of it. In West African French, minuit French for midnight. Midnight gets an extra syllable, minuit. Minuit s'amuse, midnight amuses itself. Darkest of night. What was that? Oh, it's just midnight amusing itself. Nothing to worry about. Pete eventually put some different words to this song about the sower of the seeds. But in the last couple of years, as we did some things together, he said, oh, just go back to sing the French words. And so here's one line. Minuit s'amuse, minuit. A third lower. Minuit s'amuse, minuit. Another line. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, minuit, minuit s'amuse, minuit, minuit s'amuse, minuit. Now if all that is too complicated, you can just do this little village background part. Now, in these advanced societies, we don't have a concept of audience that sits there. Everybody participates somehow. Even if you're just making dinner, you got a little simple background. Hello, 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 hello. Hala, 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 hala. Keep that going. Minuit s'amuse, minuit, minuit s'amuse, minuit. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. Oh yeah, now if that's all just too much to remember, you can just put in some notes. Oh, 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 minuit s'amuse. Minuit, minuit s'amuse, minuit. Here's another line. Night has come, I hear music, and I keep on singing. Midnight has come, I hear music, and I keep on singing. You can sing that. Night has come, I hear music, and I keep on singing. Hala, 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 say Aminui. Ala 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 ala. Guantanamera, Wahila, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Wahila, Guantanamera. I gotta find a little unobtrusive piece of paper here. So many pieces of paper, so little time. This song became a hit in the 50s in the United States. Pete, in 1958, with the Cuban Revolution, Pete said, "We need a Cuban song that'll keep Cubans humanized to Norte Americanos." So he picked up on this song from a young student, classical music student. Julian Arbone had been in New York and gone to some of the same camps that Pete had gone to. This song goes back a ways, though. Juan Fernandez Diaz, band leader in wicked old Havana in the 40s, even in the 50s, had this song, faster tempo, with silly words to it, about some guy's girlfriend stole his sandwich and let's dance. It was his theme song on a radio program. It went faster, but this classic Latin thing, 1, 4, 5, ba-ba-da-da. So Julian Arbone took the words of Jose Marti, famous Cuban poet from the last century, died in about 1890 something. Everybody in Cuba would know Jose Marti and the words of Jose Marti the way we would know Emerson and Thoreau or something like that. So from this epic poem of hundreds of verses, 100 verses, he picked a few that fit right into the song. So Guajira is like a colloquial, that's not quite the word I wanted. Not insulting, but just it means like kind of homegirl or, peasant woman or something. Hey girl. But the words of Jose Marti fit right in here in the verses. He says, "I'm an honest man from the land of the palm trees. Here, let me tell you stories of my life. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero." Well, it's Carmen Insidia, the wrong verse. Y antes de morir me quiero echar mi verso del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. says, my verses can be a verdant green, my verses can be a flaming red, flaming crimson. My verses can be like a wounded fawn in the mountain forest. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso es un ciervo herido que busca en el monte amparo. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. He says, with the poor of the earth, I'll be with them. I'll cast my lot with them. Simple things, this little brook in my mountains is as comforting as your oceans. So Jose Marti certainly knew Spanish imperialism. He knew American imperialism. He didn't live quite long enough to see the U.S. Marines invade Cuba and for the armed forces to build many military bases across Cuba from which to jump off and invade Haiti in Central America in the Spanish-American War. He was, in this song, we're celebrating this little place down the southeast corner of Cuba, hometown. He says, con los pobres de la tierra quiero yo mi suerte echar. Con los pobres de la tierra quiero yo mi suerte echar. El arroyo de la sierra me complace más que el mar. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. So Jose Marti would have had no idea, and Pete would have had no idea in 1958. Then a group of young Pete protégés recorded this song and turned it into a big hit. He would have had no idea, though he spoke up about it in his last years, that this little place down there in the southeast corner of Cuba, a mile from the fence, would become synonymous to the world with the corruption of war and illegal imprisonment and torture, Guantanamo. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Okay. Oh, it's lost in all the papers. Where's the list? Somebody. Oh, how about that?
Thank you.
So Pete continued to write songs. Laurie Wyatt was one of Pete's real henchmen. Was often on the boat. wonderful songwriter that wrote Somos El Barco, we sang before, and many other great songs. He had a stroke back some years ago, and I was visiting Pete one day. My daughter got to meet Pete Seeger. She was only 5 right then, and I had said to Pete, I really want my daughter Louisa to meet you sometime. And he was actually looking at a music stand, kind of like this, and I'm behind him. And without even turning around, he said, "Well, you better hurry up. I'm 90 years old." Well, I guess that's an invitation. So the next time we were coming back on Interstate 84, I said, Pete, I called him, am I bothering him? And Pete, we're just approaching the Hudson, the bridge on 84. He said, the bridge will turn off. Like right after the bridge, you take 6A, yeah, whatever it is, 9B or something. And So we went down. He said, "Well, I got a lot of letters." He would write letters. You write to him, and he writes back. And he had a big pile of records. I got to go to the post office, but come on over. We'll have ice cream on the back porch. Getting to be on Pete's back porch, where he bought this land when the Weavers made some money. He bought 17 acres for $1,500. So less than $100 an acre, he was happy to say. But, money was different in 1948, but still, a pretty good bargain as, that's pretty upscale around there. A lot of mansions along the Hudson River, although, some of it fell into hard times. This road remains treacherous to get up there, up the cliff, up to his land. Nobody else wanted it, so he built a log cabin up there, raised his family there, built a bigger house there, a big stone wall on the north side that he would love to tell you about how he got that big stone up there, and the south side, all windows, solar, and then this porch, a simple porch that looks out over beautiful sunsets over the Hudson River every afternoon. And so I'm saying to my Louisa, well, this is the Abioyo guy right here, and she's kind of shy and looking, and he said, "Oh yes, that was an old African folk tale. Yeah, and it ended up a song, ended up a book and everything," and she's kind of looking away, and Toshi said, "She's not paying a bit of attention to you, Peter." But Pete knew kids. He loved doing stuff with kids, and right up until he died, he had the River Singers, a bunch of kids, the children of people who had been in the group. I think grandchildren of people that had been in the group with him were singing with him. And that must have been a devastating loss. The day after Louisa's 10th birthday, she was in school, and my friend James Durst called me and said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Pete died." Pete was out chopping wood, and he had a heart failure. And now, only a month or two before that, I was going to visit him, and I talked to Tina on the phone. She says, "He's out there chopping wood in December." And he says, "I can't stop him." I'm like, but if that's the way he goes, I don't know. And yes, it was. He was still. I piled firewood with Pete Seeger. Drove his little electric pickup truck with an electric motor. He said, "This college professor put this electric motor in here. Only has one gear, but it'll go right up the hill." So we'd load up that little Datsun pickup truck and then go over to the side of the house. He was very fastidious about piling the wood. We piled up the wood, and he said, "Wow, that went fast." I said, "Pete, you could charge for this." like Tom Sawyer. Huck Finn, is it? We were on the back porch, and he says, "Laurie Wyatt was just down here. He had a stroke, but he's doing better." He said, "Pete, I got these partly written songs, and maybe I could come down and we could work on it together." He said, "I got this half-written song." And so he came down and he slept in the barn, and we wrote a couple of songs, and he gave me this song written down on a piece of paper. Not a recording of the song, but just handwritten thing on the paper. So I went home, and I thought, I'd put it on the computer and, send him back a printed copy, and I put a piano part to it. And then I get one of those letters back. Now, Pete would have this letter. It was photocopied that said, "I'm too busy to write a letter, but, ever since that PBS documentary, the phone's been ringing off the hook, and I can't get anything done, but, this is happening, and this is happening, and so on." And then he'd write a little note to you over in the corner or something, or up the margin. So, and I have several of those letters, the "I'm too busy to write a letter" and he says, "Jim, thanks so much for writing the song down. I think it would be better if you didn't put the melody in the piano part." Of course, all our hymns in the hymn book, the melody is in the piano part, because that's, because we all stand up and face in the same direction, and are led often by not somebody singing, but somebody being it out on the piano, and Pete would just do it a different way. He'd be up in front of you saying, "One more time, here, put that up," like that. So, I'm so glad I got to sing this song with him on several occasions. At that little church, the Rock Tavern Church, we did it. Then after that, that church service that went 2 hours, we get done, and he says, "We'll have to do this again." And the whole church gasps, and, he says, well, and he knew the church had burned down, and already, and it's gesturing at me. He says, "We'll do a benefit concert. You can bill us both." Yeah, that'll help. So I thought after that they made a poster, and it was Pete Seeger, blah 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 blah, on and on and on, and down at the bottom, joined by Jim Scott and the Sloop Singers. And I said, "Wait a minute, you guys, I'm the one who got this to happen. Could you put my name at the top too?" But it was sold. It was in January. It was sold out by October, so I never even got my name in the paper or anything. But 160 people showed up for this concert, packed in this little place. And then after we did that, I said, "Well, now we've put a show together. Could we do it in a bigger place? And I promise I'll never ask you again." Well, he is 92 at the time, but 93, and I said, we had done a big benefit concert for the UU Service Committee 10 years before, and that was in New York City, and all the territories and egos and everything that went into that concert wasn't so satisfactory. If you can imagine the concert producer down front telling Pete Seeger to wind it up so we can get the donors downstairs and hit them up for, like that. So, but, Pete, ever graceful, went along with it. So then we did a big concert at White Plains UU Church, and that was one of the last big concerts Pete did. But after that, Toshi came to those concerts, the different things we did, in fact, and mostly getting pushed in a wheelchair, and kind of forgetful, but she still wanted to know what's going on, who's taking care of whatever, and then she died that summer, and I wondered, would Pete fold up after that? But no, he'd been doting on her so much that he kind of had a resurgence after that, and the last time I got to do stuff with him was at a big Native American gathering on the Hudson River at the Hudson River Sloop place where there's a park, and now you can swim in the river and all. Just there's Pete's whole life success all here with these Native Americans coming. And they're coming on the 400th anniversary of the Two-Row Wampum Treaty, which says, okay, we'll trade with you, and you can do this and you can do that, but you can't stay. Well, that didn't work out so well. Then the next one was, well, if you're going to stay here, you're going to have to live by our laws. Well, we can see how that worked out. And then here's the spirit riders on horseback had arrived with the canoe paddlers coming down the Hudson River in Beacon. And this is, here's Pete presiding over this thing. They're going to go to the United Nations and say, okay, forget all the genocides, forget all the lies, all the broken treaties, all the things like that. We'd like to start now, Native Americans of the United States, and we'd like you to treat us as equals. That was their message. And Pete sang that song that afternoon. The last thing I heard him sing was "I Come and Stand at Every Door," the song about Hiroshima, which it was just about the anniversary of Hiroshima right there. And he was saying, up against the wall of the Sloop Club, he was saying, now who's going to keep doing this? Then we need somebody to go down to the United Nations and sing this song. And, you know, since he was 70 or so, he'd been saying, oh, my voice is shot, I can't sing anymore. But, of course, he'd whistle, and he'd get you to do the work, is the way it worked. So here, Pete writes this new song with Laurie Wyatt, and you can see, boy, I might need my glasses. That's written so small. I know most of it. He says, 90 years old, first time I used God in a song. Don't know what to make of it. I said, well, maybe it could be God's counting on you. Maybe another verse could be Earth's counting on you. Or maybe I'm counting on you. Well, that's a good idea. But I never heard him use that. But I do. When we look and we see things are not as they should be, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Now you repeat that. When we look and we see things are not as they should be, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Chorus. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. It's time to turn things around. Trickle up, not trickle down. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. You can sing it. It's time to turn things around. Trickle up, not trickle down. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. So when drill, baby, drill turns to spill, baby, spill, God's counting on me. God's counting on me. Oh, when drill, baby, drill turns to spill, baby, spill, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. What we do, you and me, will affect eternity. God's earth's counting on me. Earth's counting on you. What we do, you and me, will affect eternity. Earth's counting on me. Earth's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. When you sing with younger folk, you must never give up hope. You're counting on me. I'm counting on you. When you sing with younger folk, you must never give up hope. You're counting on me. I'm counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. All pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. Sing it one more time. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. Oh, I gotta find this song. Well, maybe. So many papers. Come on. Okay, we don't need those anymore. Oh. Da-da-da-da. Building to a great climax. There it is. Well, may the keel row, old Scottish song, Pete turns it into. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. You can do it. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. Well, may the skiers turn, the swimmers churn, the lovers burn. Peace may the generals learn when I'm far away. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. Sweet may the fiddle sound, the banjo plays the old hoedown. Dancers swing round and round when I'm far away. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. Fresh may the breezes blow, clear may the streams flow. Blue above, green below when I'm far away. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. One more. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. Gotta do one more. Well, may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well, may the world go when I'm far away. Oh, yeah. Well, that could be a nice place to end the concert, but that was the concert, and here's the encore. Efficiency expert that I am, I know we could all stand up and say, oh, thank you, you're too kind, and you'd be out the door. So, Pete and the Weavers have a big hit song, and we have to explain to anybody under 30, records. They're like CDs, but they're bigger. But they have two sides. You turn it over, and there's music on the other side. The disc jockeys want another song, and they turn it over, and here's a song by an African-American ex-convict, Hughie Ledbetter, Leadbelly. A song about a woman of the evening, woman of ill repute, who's fallen on hard times or met a sad demise, we're not sure. But she sure has a big fan club. One of the great harmony songs of all time. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Well, that's about all I'm gonna sing of that song. But I've been known to make things up. Some churches have saints like Mary and Christopher, or St. Francis's of Assisi and De Sales. Our evidence empirical can't compare to a good miracle beside theirs. Our imagery pales, but we have our 7 principles and 6 sources to guide us along. From creation to evolution involves quite a revolution. So guys like me have to write a new song. You use good night. You use good night. Watch out now. Witches, commies, and drag queens, professors, grandmas, and bored teens gather here, and we think that's just right. We have our UU heroes, whose advances inspire us all. Though it's somewhat out of fashion, we try to live with compassion, no matter which way the chips fall. UUs are not that hard to comprehend. Your dignity and worth I will defend. Debate is open and free. We can agree to disagree, long as you come to my viewpoint in the end. You use good night, good night. You use good. Witches, commies, and drag queens. Witches, commies, and drag queens. Professors, grandmas, and bored teens gather here, and we think that's just right. We have churches called All Souls UU. not some souls, or good souls, or saved souls, or rich souls, or straight souls, or white souls, or even true blue. But when it's time to sing along, if someone feels they don't belong, we make up some new words and sing them to you. You use good night. You use good night. Witches, commies, and drag queens, professors, grandmas, and bored teens gather here, and we think that's just right, and some others too. You use good night. You use good night. This has been an experience of a lifetime. Gotta throw in one more rhyme. Good night, good night, good night. They may not be that terrific, but I'm nothing if not prolific. Good night, good night, good night. Pete volunteered me to do it, and who am I to say no to it? Good night, good night, good night. This association was fateful, and I am truly grateful. Good night, good night, good night. If he were here, he'd say, look, I mean it most sincerely. I love you all dearly. Good night, good night, good night. This is Jose Pinasola on the orchestra over here. And the choir, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Jim. And thanks to Jose Pianosola, our very talented bass guitarist from Brazil, Sao Paulo. Woo! And we have one more favor to ask you before you leave. This has been recorded for Ilene's benefit, and if you would all turn to face that camera in the back and wave hi to Ilene and wish her the best. Ilene!
We love you, Ilene!
Thank you. Thank you all, and good night. We've got, there's still got some desserts in the vestry that can be acquired for a reasonable price. What else am I forgetting? That's it.
There we go.